All right, we have returned. Here we go with the good stuff, man. So it's time for us to give attention for our full review discussion of 2023's Renfield, rated R, 1 hour, 33 minutes. It's a comedy and a fantasy and a horror. Renfield, Dracula's henchman, an inmate in the lunatic asylum for decades, longs for a life away from the Count. His various demands and all of the bloodshed that comes with them. So this is directed by director Chris McKay. Who's in this this movie, Tiff?
Okay, so in this movie we have Nicholas Hoult.
Yes.
Awkwafina.
Yeah. What's her real name? Go ahead.
I'm not sure what her real name is. Nicolas Cage.
Yes.
Obviously. Ben Schwartz.
Yeah.
Ben Schwartz is in there. Adrian Martinez. Shohreh Aghdashloo.
Yeah.
Brandon Scott Jones, Jenna Cannell, Bess Rose, Camille Chen, Caroline Williams.
Yeah, everybody else, whatever,
And blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
Yeah. So, man, before we go any further, it is time for... What? Word!
My one word is escape.
Okay, explain.
This was a nice little escape.
Okay.
It is not by any means like the world's greatest movie, but it was fun. I had fun watching it.
Okay, so
yeah,
my one. Why do I got so much stuff going on my screen here? My one word, and I did think about this hard and long. My one word is fun.
Yeah, I
enjoyed myself watching this romp, and the scenes that contained Nicolas Cage. He was just chewing up the scene, man. He just poured everything into his Dracula scenes, man. And
we love Nicolas Cage, obviously, on this show. One thing I will say is the poor man just cannot not sound like Nicolas Cage. There were times I heard a dip in the Dracula voice where I was like, "Oh, we're Nick Cage."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I think you did a good job, though, Tiff.
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree. I thought it was very charming.
Yeah. I very, very charming. But that was my last week's word. But I had a lot of damn fun in watching this movie, and like it was only an hour and 30 minutes.
Woohoo! You know that I love that fucking 90 minutes.
Had great action. I thought it had great acting in it. Nicholas.
Yeah, I thought that was good.
So good in this thing. And, I just thought the movie had heart, and I enjoyed it especially though it's not a super serious thing, but it was just like, this is what I go to the movies for. This was great. Mm-hmm. So yeah, bravo for that. So let's hit those spoilers and get it on. So, funny. Oh, you know what? I got a new segment, Tiff.
Okay.
Before we go even further, let's talk about how the movie, our experience at the movies. There we go. So, how was your experience at the movies?
Mine was good. There wasn't a lot of people at my theater. Well, I will say we arrived shortly before the start of the film. And you know how now a lot of times you buy the ticket electronically. Yeah. Well, they didn't tell us that those were on because they were all blacked out, like a screen that's gone dead. Yeah. And so we were waiting in line with like 10 people. And I was like, and then somebody got out of line, and it wasn't me, so I feel stupid, but they went over, they touched the screen, it came on, and I was like, so then a whole bunch of people got out of line, and it's just like, the person running the till should have been like, you can buy your tickets over here. They're on.
Yeah.
Anyway, but that was the worst part of going to the movies for me.
Okay, so I came up with this segment because I've just been thinking, we talk about it often, and it's just...
We do.
And it's always outlandish, like the shit that happens, like yesterday. So the movie theater had a lot of people in it. I go in, I sit down, right? So when I bought my tickets, nobody was there. I bought tickets. There was all kind of room, but these people decided to leave a seat between me and them, And I'm like, God damn it. So anyway, I sit down. And this lady, it's a man and a lady. And the lady has like popcorn. And I have never seen a person slosh through a bag of popcorn that was so loud. It was like a hog. The whole time she was and I kept looking over like, what the hell? I mean, no breathing. Just, and I'm like, well, the popcorn can't last, right? Because she's eating it so fast and like a hog that.
Oh my God, this poor person.
The hell with this lady. This lady was, I mean, just like a Tasmanian devil, until like just tearing the bag off and when it was over with. I was like, what the hell is going on? Made me think of the segment because I was like, this shit is unreal. I kept looking over like, Are you serious? And she did not stop. She did not breathe until the bag was gone, and it was a large bag. And oh my god, it was so.
I do have a problem. Just my like, I'm one of those people that has that mouth sound problem, where like other people's mouth sounds really bother them. Even sometimes my own
I don't
mouth
have that
sounds really
problem. It's
bother me. Oh, see, I do have that problem, and it's unfortunate because I feel badly for the people who are eating, because I don't like, I try not to be grumpy because it's
No,
you're just eating, you're just being a human.
terrible.
But
She was
like,
effing terrible. The hell with this lady. She was
oh
terrible.
my god, Montego's World.
Holy shit! I mean, I don't know. Normally notice that type of stuff, and she just was like, "Oh my god!" So anyway, that's our segment, man. Brought to you by Montego's.
Brought to you by Montego's hatred for people eating popcorn near him.
Shit, will you please? Oh my god. Anyway, so let's get it on, man.
All right.
Okay, so movie starts very much like the trailer, with this thing happening, right? He was in this support group, and I love the choices of how should I say, filters that this director used. That the color, the look of the film were all bland, and Renfield with his terrible ass suit on, that's from the 1600s, and this all beat up and shit. And he's telling people, I think he was talking to the audience first about his life.
He does narrate
with the vampire, and immediately you get these like really shitty, terrible like deaths that's happening, right? They didn't waste any time. I mean, I'm digging this so far. I mean, because it's like we're not gonna like do this slow burn into what's happening. We got an hour and 30 minutes, and
I think they do a lot in an hour and 30 minutes, because they show. So what happens is he kills the last of the vampire hunters, is kind of like what I assume, because he's like, this is the last of us, Renfield. If you do this,
because the priest,
you're fucked.
Had him. He was in that little line, and he was talking about his codependency, and then he starts working on him like, Renfield, my loyal, servants. He's manipulating them.
Right, he has like that mind control sort of, but there's also like, I think that this movie does a little bit talking about like, he really only manipulates you, but based on your own dark desires. And I really liked the black and white retelling of their history together. That was very brief. I've been getting really into like some silent films, and I really thought that was cute.
Showed it looked like it was actual Dracula at first, old film, and then like Nick Cage is in there, doing his best Dracula. So
this is with his little face.
Yeah, it was there. Yeah. It's pretty good, man. And his whole leading up to how he's so codependent on this cat. I thought it was great.
I think that this movie, normally I'm not a huge. There are a few things that I do like that have like voiceover narration. Typically, I'm not a huge fan of it. Well, I suppose as with anything, is when it's done well, it's pretty good. It worked really well here because of, I think, that tying in of that codependency group where he's kind of in recovery from like learning to not be in this toxic relationship with Dracula. I thought that was a really good use. I mean, it's like, how would we take this man from who isn't Dracula, but has been living this kind of pseudo Dracula life, and bring him into modern times? I think that the use of that that support group was really brilliant. And I liked all of the people in the support group as far as like representative, like comedic characters. I thought they worked really well. Like when that one girl, every time that Renfield comes in, they're like, oh, are you going to talk to us? And she's like, well, fuck Carol, I guess.
And everybody hates me. So but I like that they explained his powers, the bugs. He keeps the little bugs and a little matchbook and stuff like that, and turns into this super duper power. So that was cool. So he gets the idea to feed his master, which goes through this cycle of him getting big, and then the people coming to get him. He gets big again, and people come to get him, and he started bringing them, all the abusers in the
the narcissist from the codependency. Which
was actually a pretty good idea, because he was actually trying to help these people who he really started to care for and stuff, and Dracula don't like it, they taste bad.
Yeah, they taste bad because they're not innocent. When he okay, so I know we see it in the trailer. Yes, when we see the trailer and we see that happen, I'm like, sometimes when I see something in a trailer, I don't mind seeing it again in the movie. And I liked this because the payoff of the joke isn't actually him seeing them. It was the before part when he's asking for it, and then you see it happen, and he's like, are you fucking kidding me? basically. And I think that Nicholas Hoult is perfect for this character because he's just, I like Nicholas Hoult a lot. I think he has a lot of, he does a really good actor. But also I think he does this mopey kind of sad sack person really well. Like he's kind of like, oh shucks.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. He performs that really well. And The Nerd, he does it really well too. Mm-hmm. And so they establish that Dracula is the bane of his existence, and the action when he goes to to get the people. I'm like, this was so top notch. I wasn't expecting action like this in this movie. I was expecting, like kind of like what we do in the Shadows type of, humor and stuff like
goofy stuff.
But when he went in there and he like destroyed the people, and then the Bane like dude come in and he destroys him. I'm like, this is really good. This is really good. They didn't skimp on like a cheap production because
right.
You never know with Nick Cage because he does so much shit movies and stuff like that. But then he does other stuff. I was like so impressed with the action. So.
I agree. I think that this is so. I think you're right. Sometimes when a movie is trying to do like straddle multiple genres, especially with like an action comedy or in this case, quote unquote horror comedy, there are some like legitimate horror tones in this movie, but and it's about Dracula, but they really do the comedy well. I feel like sometimes when they're trying to straddle things, they let one or the other slip, and they do the action well too. Like the action scenes in this movie, if they had taken out all of the comedy, would still be rad. Yeah,
exactly.
Like they don't. And here's the thing: I thought when I was excited to see this movie, but when I was coming in, I was like, I bet some of this stuff's going to cheese me out. Like I'm going to be like, I don't care too much for like when it looks goofy, but they managed, and like some of the stuff that they did was goofy, but they managed to make it look realistic for his powers and cool. Yeah. So it's talking specifically about when they're in the apartment building, and they have that whole showdown where he's just like, he throws the arms into somebody and shit like that. I'm like, okay, this is like weird, but it works.
Yeah. So these people are like they're the most fearsome like gang, the Lobos.
The Lobos, the Los Lobos or the Lobos.
And so the mother, I love this actress. She's always in stuff. She shows up, in different things because she has that.
She's badass. Like you could just, there's the way that she holds herself.
Yeah.
I mean, this actress. Yeah. I mean, I've seen her not always be like, basically a mob boss, but
no, I've seen her be a mob boss. So this is a pretty good role for her. And she was intimidating. The son was an F up. But when he ended up finding out Renfield had got this other life, he started liking Aquafina, whoever she was, and her plight and her dad dying. And I didn't know in the beginning that the whole police department was corrupt until she was like calling them out. But I liked her mouth, man, because she didn't like hold back on like calling those a bunch of corrupt motherfuckers and all that stuff. Like, she don't give a shit. The captain's right there. The captain's talking about not promoting her or nothing like that. And I didn't realize that everybody was corrupt until I was like, oh shit, all of them is corrupt.
Which is a great reveal because even though you don't suspect it, it makes sense because at the beginning, this movie does a lot of really good foreshadowing. Yeah. Because foreshadowing is the kind of stuff that you look back on and you're like, oh, and sometimes you do realize ahead of time. But like, when she's like, how come you're not interviewing these fucking witnesses? How come you're not doing this? They shot this. He ran a traffic stop with cocaine in his backseat. Do you know what I mean? Like, throw it at them and shit. And I like that she's just, there's that fuck you Chris guy that she's always yelling at, and then they all hate him too.
I cracked up with that shit. And she's like, fuck you, Chris. I'm like, it cracked me up.
I feel like that's hitting its comedic beats, hitting its horror beats, hitting its action beats. And I love when he's learning his self-acceptance, and he gets that very pastel apartment and the sweater.
So,
and then when Dracula finds him in that apartment, I felt embarrassed for it. You know what I mean? Because you're like, oh, it's not that it's embarrassing because he's living like what would be a happy life, but like you can tell just the way you crumble in front of somebody that you have no confidence in front of.
Yeah. So all the murder starts right, and we have these beautiful action scenes stringing together because Dracula makes these people his familiars too, so they all get the powers. But they ain't had practice time. Is the way I looked at it, practicing with those powers, because Renfield just went through all those cats, even though they had powers.
But I like that
too, because it makes sense. Like all of a
sudden, right, he's used to it.
No.
Shout out to My Chemical Romance being in this song, being in this movie. I was feeling really good about it when it was happening. That's another thing about this movie. I thought that the everything happening in the background, as far as like noise and like things like that, I thought was really well mixed. Like I didn't think that I was overpowered by any of it. Yeah. The scene when they come and they fight him in the mob house or whatever, the mansion. Yeah. I thought that like the thing about this movie is everything makes sense. And I love that it's done in 90 minutes, because even us talking here, we've talked about like a rich contextual situation. And I get that it's a goofy movie, but like
wasn't much time and they put it in there. They got it all.
They really did. They're like, here's the history. I had this toxic relationship. Here's this mob. My dad died. He fought the corruption. There's a lot happening in this 90 minutes. And it shows me, I'm not saying that all movies have to be 90 minutes. That would not be good. Some movies, like I said, they expand and contract depending on what they've got to say. But I like a movie that says, you don't have to do 2 hours and 40 minutes just because look at what we've done in 90 minutes.
So they wrap it up on a way I really like, because he killed all the people in the
I was really sad.
My sister was killed. I mean, because he went in there and went through them, and it was kind of early. It wasn't like at the end, and you know what I'm saying? So it's like they are gone. And they killed the sister, and when it was over, and after they defeated Dracula, which was cool, running, with the bats and the sunlight and all that stuff. Great action sequences. And they decided to chop him up in little bits and then put him in ice cubes with cement. And then he said he knew he would come back, but he's going to make it as difficult as possible. Right. And so which was really clever, because Dracula he wasn't gone, like burnt up. He still had his powers, and they had the Dracula blood, and they brought everybody back. And when I saw the guy, I was like, what? And then it was like Dracula blood, so that was like, pretty good, man. Pretty good,
And I like that, again, that was established. It wasn't just like, one thing that I have a problem with in movies, even when they're quote unquote just silly popcorn movies, is when they're like, at the end, they're like, yeah, Dracula blood saves you. I'm like, you can do that, but just fucking put some context into it. So at the beginning of the movie, they explain that, they touch on it. You're like, okay, that's why he's getting hurt a lot and coming back. And then of course at the end, they bring it back. That's fantastic. And then I really what I really like about it is that you're like, oh, this is a happy wrap up. But then that guy is like, you see things you can't unsee, when you've gone to the other side. And I'm like, there's still consequences for what have happened. Excellent. I love a consequence.
It was all not okay.
They were not. They was like, fuck, I really like that actor. He plays bit parts, a lot of comedic bit parts. The guy who was like the team lead. And I
kind of liked all of them. They all played a unique role.
All of the little characters in this movie, even like the drug dealer guy that they send in to kill him, and the people who stole the drugs, they all have you're like, oh, that's a person. We've interacted with them for 30 seconds, but that's a person.
Yeah, and
which is great.
Ben Schwartz did do an excellent job just getting.
Yes,
he was pretty funny. His little one beat jokes was pretty funny, man. So
he does a lot. I think that a lot of people in this movie do a lot of face work too, which is great. Like comedic face work.
I had so much fun watching.
I agree. I thought it was fun. I don't know. The weirdest thing to me about you telling me that it hasn't been very successful, and we did look it up before, and the box office returns have been upgraded, but they're still low. $65 million movie, $7 million return. It's weird to me when a mass audience turns against something that it seems at worst inoffensive. Like it doesn't. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like the worst thing is that but it's not even that. It's pretty good as far as a popcorn movie, etc. But there's some movies that I'm like, what you all went to see that?
Yeah. I will say that this is it's not as good as John Wick, of course, but this was it reminds me of John Wick. It had this kind of when it came out, it was like nobody gave a shit, nobody saw it, and it picked up. Do yourself a favor. This shit was fun. Very, very fun. Yeah, and I enjoyed it, and I really want to see it again when it comes out on streaming. I'll definitely watch this one again because I think it was so much going on in this little hour and 30 minutes that I missed a lot. I know I did, because it was. Yeah,
you can see it again.
100%.
I think that this will probably be. If I were to assume, if it doesn't pick up, it'll be like a cult classic.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. Nicolas Cage, bravo to that cat. He was chewing the scenes up, Jack. He was loving that cape and them teeth. He was loving them damn vampire teeth, man. You know, he was just kept and oh my god, it was yeah, it was he was really good at it. And that's not just because we're Nick Cage fans, but he really did a good job.
Yeah, I think, and I also think that I would say that he's maybe has gone beyond. Now he's back into the more, he doesn't have to do like a Willy's Wonderland situation.
Shit. Yeah. Especially with the last movie that came out that you know, it did really well. So that's it, man. We came to do the damn thing. We got it done. I enjoyed this movie, and so did Tiff. We recommend. So until next week, man, I don't know what the hell we're gonna do. I mean, we have choices, you know.
Yes.
So you know, we'll see. I think that horror movie might be out. If that's the case, man, we might have to do that that spooky booky, you know.
The Dawn of the Dead movie. No, Evil Dead Rising or something like that.
Yeah. So man, that's it. I'm the host of Fans of Patrol. My name is Montego. With me is my wonderful co-host, Miss Tiffabot. Say goodbye to these lovelies, Tiff.
It's been a pleasure as
always.
Indeed
it has. And until next week, man, we will be on
Patrol.
Patrol time.